Hey, what's going on, guys? Nomad Brad here, coming to you, and today I'm coming to you from a coffee shop. I'm going to do a little bit of a different video, and so I needed to hop on some Wi-Fi, and I'm totally out of mobile data. So bear with me, bear with the super red background. That's just the sun shining through. I'm in Texas. It's like 105 today, so it's pretty sunny, pretty hot out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and review some builds that are for sale and just figure out what's a good deal, what's overpriced, and kind of what my goal here is to kind of walk people through that don't have a very good understanding of converted vehicles, someone that's new to the market, kind of try to figure out what's this stuff actually worth. There's really no, blue book price for converted vehicles. And so my history here is that I've been a Nomad since 2018, and I have personally, from scratch, converted 6 different vehicles, including 1 cargo van, 2 shuttle buses, 2 box trucks, and a short bus. Converted them all myself, so I have a pretty good understanding of what's a good build, what kind of materials are involved, and then what are the costs associated with a van build, both labor and then also components and materials as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing we're looking at is a 2017 Dodge ProMaster 2500 high roof cargo van. It is listed at 149,000 miles. The asking price is $37,000. The Kelley Blue Book on this van is $14,600. And so if we take the 37,000 minus 14,600, they're valuing the build, components, and labor at 22,400. So let's take a look at what we're gonna get for that. Let's see, here it is, 2017 Ram ProMaster 2500, high top, 159-inch wheelbase, 3.6 liter. And so they have a lot of different stats listed here. And so we're not gonna go through all of them, but I'm gonna list out a couple, just a couple that I think is pretty cool. First, let's just look at some pictures of the build here. We'll just kind of pull these up and I'll just kind of scroll through it. So the first thing they show is the toilet. I think no matter what build you get, you gotta have a toilet. Even if it's just for emergencies. You never know, when you're gonna be out somewhere and you have some funky cooking and you just, you need an emergency toilet. I feel like for the most part in a van, the toilet is something that you're not gonna use on a daily basis. Especially if you're a seasoned van lifer, the reality is all the labor and effort involved with maintaining a toilet in a van and cleaning it and taking it out, it's just a lot of effort, and you'll find over time that you just prefer to use other toilets. So it's good. I think it's absolutely necessary to have a toilet, but it doesn't have to be a fancy one. It could even just be a bucket toilet. But no matter what, you gotta have something. So they do have a toilet here. It's in a nice little slide out section where it just kind of tucks away. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy they threw that in. Just looking at the build overall, it looks pretty nice. What I'm looking at is just the cabinet work. I'm looking at kind of the gaps between the cabinets. You can see they followed the angle, where the cabinet meets the roof. They followed the angle lines. There's a little bit of a gap, but not much. Looking up here, they followed the roof line as well. Looks pretty good. It's painted white. It looks like they did a good job on the cabinet faces. Definitely some custom cabinetry. So overall looks like a good fit and finish. They did do a butcher block countertop, which has then been waxed or epoxied or something. So the countertops look great. The white looks great. The ceiling looks good. Everything here looks, it looks like a DIY build, but it looks like a high quality build. Or we could say it was done by a conversion company. Definitely give it a high grade on the build out. Everything looks good. I like to see white in a van. It makes it feel like a bigger living space. They have a dual induction burners, which is nice. I love using induction cooking because it runs off your battery and your solar, so you're not having to refill propane. It just automatically recharges when the sun is out. So I am absolutely a proponent of induction cooktops. And then I can see they have the little Rivati single sink inset sink station here, which is a super nice sink. I personally installed those in 3 different builds. I love them. It's a good quality component. They have some track lighting in the ceiling, some LED pucks. Again, nice kind of standard sink. They have it looks like just a generic 110 volt refrigerator. Nothing wrong with that. But they're just a lower cost fridge. They're about $100, $150. The benefit of getting the full 12 volt DC refrigerator is that it's going to run strictly off DC 12 volts, so you're not converting from 12 to 120, which you're losing a little bit of efficiency. Also, the van life fridges have a higher level of insulation, so they're designed to be in a little bit hotter temperatures, and so they're a little bit more rugged and they're a little more efficient. But overall, 110 volt fridge is fine. I'm gonna knock off some points for having the weird bungee on the door closure. They could have spent $5 and done something a little nicer than that. Fridge is clean, toilet looks clean. This is a really clean build. It looks like it wasn't lived in very much, or if it was, they just cleaned it really well. It's got the lagoon style table for kind of a daily workspace and meal prep station, and then that obviously drops down into the bed, and then there you have the bed bench. So that's a super comfortable style setup. I have the same in my van. I've always used the fold up mattress style. Nothing wrong with that. They got window coverings for the windows, nice window sills. Everything's molded in. Just overall, it looks like whoever did the carpentry on this definitely knew what they were doing. You can see there's some spots here where the paint isn't finished. So that's just kind of like, you know, they were getting to the end of the build and they just wanted to hit the road. And so they were like, F it, let's go. Yeah, they got some nice window coverings. They got the Max Air fan with the remote control. You can see all the exposed screw holes on the cabinets. Nothing wrong with that, but that just shows it was kind of a mid-level conversion. Nothing too crazy with the carpentry. Again here, everything looks pretty nice. There's a little bit of gap on the window framing, but nothing terrible. Looks like a nice build. Overall nice build. They got some window covers going on. Again, Max Air fan. Here's the electrical compartment. They got a Renogy Rover charge controller and then the Renogy inverter charger. So this is cool. This is the inverter charger style. So this one has shore power. So if you're at someone's house, you can plug in with the 110 volt cord, which is a nice way to just supplement your electricity. I always recommend an inverter style charger if you can. They got a Renogy Rover 30 amp charge controller. That's a pretty nice, medium level equipment. They got a Bluetooth adapter here. And then down at the very bottom, I can see they have a DC to DC charger. So that means while the engine is running, the alternator is also charging your battery bank. So there's 3 ways to charge. You can charge from the engine, you can charge from your solar panels, and then also you could charge if you plug into shore power. So I definitely really like the electrical system on this van. It looks like it's got everything you need. It looks fairly clean. I think they use Romex up here, which is not recommended. You're supposed to use a stranded style wire in these builds, not solid conductor. Romex is all solid conductor. But that being said, I'm sure it'll be fine for a while, but just something to keep in mind. Ultimately, you would want all your 110 volt connections to be stranded wire, not solid conductor. Here we're looking at, looks like a water pump with a switch. They used PEX connections. That looks great. They got the water tank kind of tucked in there. So it looks like an overall good quality build. Looks pretty stealth. You know, from the outside, it just looks like kind of your average ProMaster. It doesn't yell, you know, that someone's living inside the rig. So overall, this is a really nice build out in my opinion. It looks like it's put together very well. They chose solid components. They kind of did everything right. Yeah, I just think overall pretty good setup. And then what did it say? They have 3 1200 amp hour lithium batteries, 600 amp hour battery bank. So they have a 600 amp hour battery bank in total. Yep, like I mentioned, 3 ways to charge. They have 400 watts of solar, which is pretty decent. 60 amp DC to DC, 3000 watt pure sine wave. So overall, electrically, this van looks awesome. I think this is a pretty good deal. All things considered, built very well. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska. They're asking $37,000. Now, if we go back and look at the build out on this 2017 ProMaster, they're valuing the build at $22,000. And just kind of from looking at the components in here, I could say as far as cost goes, you know, there's easily $5,000 or $6,000 just worth of raw materials in here, including the electrical, the countertops. And so at that point, you're looking at, you know, about $15,000 that they're asking for the labor, which is totally reasonable to me. I think for someone looking to get into van life, I think this is a great start. Really good looking van. I think right now the market is super soft on rigs. Let's see what they're saying. See, they say motivated to sell ASAP, need to sell before end of September. So I think at 37, this is a pretty good deal. 2 years ago, this exact build would have been selling for close to $60,000 just based on the market. So I think 37 is a great price, but since they're motivated and they need to get rid of it, you could come in and offer them 30 and they might take 32 or 33, which would be even a greater deal. You know, if I was going to do this conversion from scratch, I would probably charge $20,000 in labor to do this kind of build. So if I was charging 20,000 and we figure the van is worth about 14, that'd be 20, 35. So you're right about there. So overall, this 2017 ProMaster 2500 on Van Life conversion vans for sale by owner. I'll put the links to all these rigs in the description, but in my mind, this is a thumbs up, good value. All right, so the next van we're looking at is gonna be this 2011 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter camper van. They're calling it a new build, and it's listed in Anaheim, California. Price is $56,999. Build completed July 1st, 2023, so basically brand new. Let's look through the specs real quick. Professional build, new front suspension, backup camera, 400 watts of solar, 2000 watts inverter charger, Renogy DC to DC charger, Renogy 30 amp charge controller, 30 amp shore power, 280 amp hours of lithium battery bank. So this is going to be, as far as electrical system goes, this is very, my glasses are crooked, that's kind of tripping me out. This is very similar to the previous van we looked at, almost exactly. They use Renogy components, almost 300 amp hours of lithium. The one benefit, this has a 9.5 thousand BTU air conditioner on it, which is nice. But keep in mind, guys, anytime you see an air conditioner on a van, you can pretty much assume you're gonna have to be plugged in to use that air conditioner. You're just not gonna be able to use it in an off-grid scenario. Your solar panels ain't gonna cut the job, so you're gonna have to be plugged in. Otherwise, induction cooktop, dual zone fridge freezer, queen bed, 25-gallon fresh water, 20-gallon gray, electric water heater. What are they doing a water heater for? Portable cassette toilet. Is there a shower in here? There must be a shower in here. I want to say, by the way, you know, 25-gallon fresh water is pretty small. I have 30 gallons on my van, and if you start taking showers, even a 30-gallon tank, you're going to be refilling that every few days. You'd be surprised how fast, between washing your dishes, drinking water, washing hands, taking showers, you'd be surprised how fast fresh water runs out. So on a 25-gallon tank, if you're doing showers, you're going to be filling that thing every few days. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop in, look at the photos. I really like just the layout on this one. It's really pretty. Definitely a professional build. I love the wood on the ceilings. The paint looks like it's a navy blue. I'm not super excited about that, but it is what it is. That's what happens when you buy something already built. You just take what's there. I do really like the layout though, and I like this little dinette they have on the side. You don't often see those in van conversions. They have the dinette on the side, which is good for like a little workstation and eating meals, and then it has the full-size bed in the back. So basically you have kind of two living spaces, the bed and then the dinette here. I love that. Again, dual burner induction cooktop. I think that's a no-brainer on van life. There's no reason to use propane for cooking unless you're just a diehard propane fan. Puck lights in the ceiling. They got the air conditioner, the max fan, nice windows with trim. Definitely a high quality build. It looks really nice. They got the swivel seats, so you can have, you know, probably 4 people in there hanging out pretty comfortably. I like the bed in the back with the windows right above the bed. There's no better feeling than, you know, being camping out off grid and being able to wake up and look right out the window and see the sun rising and see the forest through the trees. I absolutely love having the bed in the back right at window level like that. Pretty standard, you know, just Sprinter van layout. You open the side doors, you got the kitchen there, the dinette, the windows. There is a little shower in here, which is nice. A lot of people want a shower. For a lot of folks, that's like a deal breaker. The #1 comment I've noticed in my builds, because I don't do showers, the #1 comment is, where's the toilet, where's the shower? So a lot of people, I think especially coming from, typical, house or apartment life, they want a shower. And once you get into van life and you realize how much effort is involved in maintaining a van life shower, you're not going to end up using it hardly at all, but at least it's there for your peace of mind. You have one, and it's got just the basic cassette style toilet, so that's something you're going to have to dump out and rinse out, once a week. It's for emergencies really, but they got it. Nice shower. And yeah, again, just kind of nice overhead cabinets, real simple build. There's definitely room for you to do some finishing touches to it. It's got the slide out dual zone fridge freezer, which is nice. I gotta say, I've had both styles of refrigerators. A chest style fridge is my favorite because you can pack them full. Stuff doesn't fall out when you open the door after you're bumping down the road. Everything stays put, and they stay colder than the front opening fridge freezers. So I definitely prefer a chest style fridge freezer. It's got nice, high quality drawer build outs. They're using real plywood here, not particle board, which is nice. Under cabinet LED lighting. Basically, in my mind, this has everything you would want in kind of a mid-grade Sprinter build out. I mean, it's not super fancy. It's not like over the top fancy. Like electrical looks really good here. Let me finish my thought here. It's not over the top fancy, like, oh my God, there's, crazy white marble countertops, quartz countertops and stuff, but they hit all the details. It's a really nice finish. It's done well. It has everything you need, and it's a reasonable price. Looking at the electrical looks really well done. They have circuit breakers instead of fuses. All the wiring is short and heat shrinked. It looks like whoever did the electrical, they knew what they were doing. You have actual square D residential breakers for your 110 volt. So this looks like a really high quality electrical job. I have no problems with any of that. The hot water heater looks really nice. Keep in mind too, this is something that you're really only going to be able to use this if you're plugged into shore power. You're not going to be able to really run that off your battery. It's possible that it's set up that you can, but it's going to be such an energy hog that you're really not going to get much use out of it, but it's there if you need it. Everything looks really nice. They use PEX fittings, and they use nice crimps, and they have a water pump and an accumulator tank. So it looks really, really like a high quality build. No corners cut here. Definitely a good little build. So let's kind of go back and just look at the overview. The only concern would be 165,000 miles on a Sprinter chassis. Now these vehicles, the only issue I have with Sprinters is not as many mechanics are willing to work on them as say like an Econoline or something like that. Sometimes you have to have like certified Mercedes technicians, and you have to use Mercedes parts, so you're going to end up spending a little bit more for maintenance and repairs. And keep in mind, 165,000 miles, if this is a turbo diesel, you're going to have to end up replacing the turbochargers. And I would definitely recommend, if you buy this van, you're going to want to have a few thousand in savings at any given time, and just prepare yourself mentally that you're going to need to do some repairs on it. But overall, great van. And let's go back to the pricing. 156, or they're asking 56.9. Kelly Blue Book on this is 13.4, and I think the Blue Book is so low because of repair costs. And that high a mileage, you're going to need you're going to need some maintenance to be done on it. So the build valuation is at 43.5, and then if we, so they're valuing the build at 43.5. It looks like, they probably have about $10,000 to $15,000 worth of parts and materials here. So you're looking at about $30,000 they're valuing the build labor at, which seems pretty reasonable. It's hard for people to understand, like $30,000 for labor, but these van conversions take a lot of time. Everything's custom. Every build design is a one-off build. You have to measure 4 times, cut once. And when I look at the craftsmanship on this conversion, whoever the carpenter was, the electrician, the plumber, everything is done very precisely. So this is a high quality build. I wouldn't squabble at the asking price. I think $56,900 is very reasonable for this build. I don't see really anything wrong with it. What are they saying? Now, they're not saying that they're like in a hurry to sell it, but on any of these builds, you always offer less, no matter what, offer less. And I would always recommend too that whatever build you're looking at, if it's one you're serious about, check it out in person, see if you love it, and then always have a mechanic inspect it, because regardless of how nice the build is, you want to have a mechanic look everything over, look at the vehicle side, and make sure there's not any glaring issues. Like they might look this over and say, hey, we noticed an oil leak, we noticed this, we noticed that, and that'll give you an idea of, hey, within the first 6 months of owning this van, I might need to put $5,000 or $10,000 into it. And just kind of give you an idea of where you're at. So I always recommend have your vehicles inspected before you purchase them every time, and then that will give you some additional negotiating power. Now, again, I love the price of this van at $56,900. I love it. Anything lower than that, $55,000, $53,000, I think it's a great value. If you're comfortable knowing that you're gonna have to spend some money on maintenance down the road. So I think it's a great van. Let's go ahead and move on. The last van I have of this video. Now, I wanted to do one just because I was kind of shocked at the price of it. I was completely like jaw to the floor, what's going on? And so we're gonna go through this conversion, and I actually kind of did a cost breakdown because I wanted to see how the heck they came up with this valuation. So here's the van, guys. It is a 2023 Mercedes Sprinter all-wheel drive version. They're asking $299,999, and that is a lot of money. That will buy you a house in many parts of the country. Now, that will not buy you a house in California, but it will buy you a house in many parts of the country. It's a lot of cash, and so I wanted to figure out how are they justifying $300,000 for this van. So let's go ahead and just kind of cruise through it really quick. I'm going to show you guys just what I'm looking at, and then we'll go to a breakdown of what's in this build. So this is just, it's a Sprinter. We've all seen them. It does have the flares on each side, so it gives you a deeper sleeping space. It has a pop-up sleeping bunk up top, so you could sleep 2 inside the van and then 2 up top. It does have a 12-volt Dometic air conditioner on the top. It has a really nice wheel and tire package, upgraded suspension. It's got all the fancy bumpers, front and rear, bike carrier, spare tire carrier. Here's another picture of the profile. It's the long wheelbase. It's got running boards. It's got like a dyno, or like a rhino lining on the boards, and it says like a rhino protection film, so there might be some kind of a paint protection film over the paint. Otherwise, it's kind of your standard Sprinter. It's got a winch bumper in front, supplemental off-road lighting. Comes with wine glasses because you're gonna need a drink after you spend 300 grand on this thing. Now, I don't wanna just rip it to shreds. One thing I wanted to mention is, of course, every detail of this build, as you would expect to see it, is just 100% premium. All the cabinetry looks like it's prefab. Now, one thing I want to mention is when you get into these high-end Sprinter builds, a lot of times what they're doing is they're buying the Sprinter, and then all the stuff that's built out with it is actually prefabricated, and you can just order this stuff online. So they're not paying a master carpenter, you know, $100 an hour to build these things out. They're ordering these prefab kits from factories online that build this stuff. So what they're really doing is these vans aren't custom built as much as they're custom designed and then custom assembled. So there's not as much labor that actually goes into these high price vans because everything they're buying is kind of custom made and just bolted into place. So that's something I just wanted to say. Of course, it takes master knowledge and skills to make it all look good and connect it properly, but it's definitely not as it's actually not as much effort as some of the mid-tier 100% custom builds. So this one's cool. It does have a ladder right in the middle that pops up to the upper camping area. Like I mentioned, all the cabinets are custom, just really high end. The shower door is glass, which is pretty cool. Just has that luxury vibe. It's a little tight inside. My biggest complaint with these vans is your living space is basically a hallway. I mean, two people can't even pass each other on these builds, which is why I personally prefer box trucks and shuttle buses, just because you get about an extra foot in width. But for people that want the Sprinter platform, this is about as good as it gets. Has the insulated fabric roof, puck lighting, really high-end cabinets. Everything's going to be like soft closures and high-end paint finishes. It does have a really high-end looking luxury shower with a toilet inside. This shower system is absolutely ridiculous. I'm just gonna say, I mean, this is for somebody that ain't never lived in a van, because the reality is, you know, this custom spa shower, you don't have enough fresh water or gray water tank capacity to really enjoy one of these showers. I mean, anytime you do a shower in a van, it's a military shower. It's you turn it on, wet yourself down, turn it off, soap up, turn it on, rinse off. You're taking a 3-minute shower. So any of these fancy like 5 head, I mean, look at this. It's got 2, 4, 6, 7 heads. You're not gonna run this thing long enough to even take advantage of those, unless you're at an RV park and you're plugged in to electric for your water heater and you know, a city water connection where you have unlimited water, then you could use this. But anytime you're off grid, you're not going to be able to take advantage of that. It's a ton of weight, and it's kind of just one of those things that you can tell they just threw it in there because it's a really expensive van and they needed to have really expensive shit. So in my mind, I deduct points for that. It's totally unnecessary. Sink is actually pretty minimalistic. I like the sink. I have no problems with it. It's got the drying rack, which is super handy for just placing your dishes on once you're done washing them, letting them drip dry. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know, dude. That's what you get for 300 grand. So it's definitely an adventure rig, but none of the photos really make me grab my wallet and write a check for 300K. So let's look at what's in this thing. I was absolutely shocked at some of the components in this thing. So 223 Sprinter all-wheel drive, asking price $299, $999. The MSRP, I just went straight to Mercedes. The MSRP on this, as kitted out, is $66,473, which means the build valuation is $233,526. That's what they're asking beyond the price of this rig. So let's go ahead and look at what the heck is on it. And I kind of just went through and did some quick Google research to get price points for everything. And you guys can look at this with me. Bumpers, tire carrier, tires and wheels, suspension, rooftop tent, 12-volt air conditioner. It only has 300 watts of solar. Because of that huge rooftop tent, you can't put a lot of solar on this. So this rig is terrible for boondocking. 300 watts of solar ain't gonna get you very far. It's definitely not gonna charge the battery bank. So that's a big limitation on this, is you're not gonna be able to really boondock for extended amounts of time. And anyone that knows solar, flexible solar panels are just not high quality and they don't last long. Definitely don't recommend it. 3000 watt Victron inverter. Now this is what completely blew my mind. This thing has a 630 amp hour lithium battery. The retail on this battery is $8,500, which is totally insane. You can get 630 amp hours of, like, you know, budget lithium batteries like a Wise or an LI Time for, you know, like $3,000. Even if you bought like Battleborn batteries, which are about 800 bucks a piece, you know, you're still way less than this price. So the battery bank on this is absolute madness, 8,500 bucks. And then the other thing that blew my mind is this shower system. So it's a Roman Holiday hydronic heating system. Look at this price, $12,495 for this hydronic system. Now what that is it's your hot water system as well as your heating system. So the floors are heated with this system, which heats the airspace inside the rig. So it's a pretty advanced system, but $12,000 just doesn't make sense. Absolute bananas on that price point. Air compressor, second alternator, fender flares, exterior lighting. When I go through and just list out kind of all the stuff that's on it, I come up with about $58,000 for the build components. And I'm saying 20,000 of that is just kind of complete BS. Like that battery system and that hydronic system, like, you could outfit that van with good quality equipment for a third of that price, but we're gonna go ahead and leave it in and just say the build components are 58,000. So they're giving a build labor and a profit of $174,826. Now, I don't know how they justify that. That's just a lot of money. I don't understand it. I mean, 174,000, you'd have to be paying some custom cabinet guy 200 bucks an hour at like 4 months of work to do it. So absolute insane valuations. I don't know. I think probably the people that buy these are probably millionaires, and for them, they're just looking at monthly payments for an adventure van, and so they don't really care, right? They're just looking at, you know, okay, it's $1,000 a month to finance it. Who cares? Let's go. But this one just for me was kind of fun to look at, to just see, you know, the absolute insanity that some of these vans are priced at. And so that's just it, guys. Absolute insanity if you have a spare 300K. And you look at the pricing in the comments, whoops, 300K. People are absolutely mental over that pricing. So that's kind of just a funny one. So I wanted to show you guys those 3 builds for today. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this video. Let me know if you want me to do more videos like this. If you guys have a van you want me to review, something you're interested in, a van you want to sell and you want me to break it down and kind of give you my thoughts on it, send me an email, nomadbrad503@gmail.com. I'm happy to review it for you. And if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll make some more. So thanks for watching. See you next time.